Greetings, everyone. How's everybody doing? Happy Saturday. It's been a minute since I've been here, but I felt compelled to come in and share today because we are at such an incredible turning point in our reality. And it's such a profound thing to, hey, Lindsay, how are you doing? Oh, how you been, girl? It's such an incredible thing to witness what's happening from the astrological perspective right now. And today we have Mars and Mars opposing Pluto. And Pluto is at the very final degree of Capricorn and will leave Capricorn and will never be there again in our lifetime. And Pluto in Capricorn has been about our relationship to authority, our relationship to the masculine, our relationship to patriarchy, our relationship, with structures and systems that have been in place. And Pluto is about transformation. And so what has happened since 2008 has been an opportunity for us to really go through some deep transformational experiences around who we are and how we show up in the world with others, right? So like authority, the role of government, the role of education, the role of the medical system, right? What have these systems done and how are we in relationship to them? And the financial system, and we've seen all manner of criminal activity and all sorts of changes, and just everything is so different because technology came in, right? So there was a time when these systems just functioned without any sort of checks and balances from the people, really, right? They were, so like the government for years, the politicians have been doing whatever they really want to, but telling the people another thing. But now that technology is here, we can see so clearly what's happening. It's undeniable. This is Pluto and Capricorn, like the transformation of authority, the removing the veil, the shadow of authority. One of the things that's been profound for me as someone who started studying the occult deeply is understanding that everything in our country and our world pretty much is run by astrology, but they don't give us that information. So we are functioning on a different way of thinking than what nature is actually providing. And so there's a disconnect between us and our own power and authority, because our power and authority and our perceptions have been hijacked by the media, by, religion, by ideas of relationship. And so we are functioning in a fake world, an illusion, what they call the Maya, that we think is real. We think it's real, but it's not. And it's such a interesting thing. But you have to, when I was younger, I could feel that I didn't feel congruent in my mind and body. I could feel that things that I was being taught didn't seem true, but I couldn't prove it because everybody believed it, so everybody believed this sort of thing about racism. Everyone sort of believed that Christianity was the only way. Like I grew up in an environment where things seemed so cloaked, and even though I could feel that things were off, I could not prove it because everyone else was conformed to it. And it took me really getting off the beaten path, which was astrology, to understand how are things really working here. And so as I studied cosmology and occultism, I started to see two different realities and understand now that everything we were taught in school and, in the church and all of that stuff is really just somebody's made up stories that we were handed and told that this is the way that it is, and it's not. And so those are the ways that we gave our authority away, by believing in things that really weren't true, by believing in the food groups, and by believing in that what the media said, all of those things were conditioned experiences that we were fed and we bought into it. And the authority was hijacked, our own personal authority, because we believed things. Like my grandmother used to call me and be like, Monique, there's so much crime in that city you live in. Be careful, because the news was telling her things that she then bought into and then projected that into my experience, right? So now that Pluto is leaving Capricorn, that old experience of giving your authority away, like going to doctors and teachers and ministers, that old thing is going away. Now we're coming into our own authority, our own personal sense of self as Pluto goes into Aquarius. It's literally asking you, do you have the courage to be yourself, to remove the veil, to, we have grown up in a culture that is very codependent and externally focused, like needing approval from others, needing others to justify your sense of self, needing, a wife, needing a husband, like a lot of duality that we have lived into as if we cannot be whole on our own. So we have cut ourselves off from aspects of ourselves. We have denied aspects of who we really are in order to fit in, because that's what we've been taught. You have to go to college to be successful. You have to have this kind of money. You have to look this certain way. All those sort of collective ideas and agreements are now falling away. And who are you really? Who are you really here to be? And so it's a really fascinating time to be on the planet. And so one of the things that I find that is really significant now, because we have this election and things coming up, it's very important for us to be true to yourself. I see people voting from fear, or, do the thing that your heart says to do for you, like whatever that is. Don't give this energy right now on the planet is so vital. It's the most powerful time that we will be alive. It's like the ripest energy ever. And to give it to something that doesn't really impact you in ways that are personal is a disservice to yourself. So do the thing that really feels right for you. It reminds me very much of the COVID time when people were afraid and getting vaccinations because they were afraid and because everybody said this. Like, don't do that. Like, really go inside of your own heart and your own soul and experience and ask, what am I really up to? What really feels true for me? And that could be anything. It could be to participate, to don't participate. It could be to whatever it is, but do what really feels right for you. Why? Because this is the time of choosing yourself. And when you choose yourself, you will begin to reproduce an energetic experience in your life that will multiply upon itself in ways that matter now. You do not want to negotiate your own sense of self right now, because with Mars in opposition to Pluto, that means there is an internal war going on. Mars is the warrior, the self. Pluto is deep transformation. That means that there is energy right now that is deeply transformational, and you want to use that energy for you. You don't want to give that away. Not to a lover, a child, this is between you and your core divine self, and you need this energy right now. You cannot afford to give it away, is what I'm trying to say. So, because Pluto is leaving Capricorn, this Pluto and Capricorn is authority, Pluto is also the shadow. It's the ways that we don't speak up for ourselves. How many times have you been in your life where somebody was doing something, or you knew something was bullshit. You knew something, and you didn't speak up for yourself. You went along to get along. You didn't have the courage to stand for yourself. This is that kind of energy. You cannot afford to do that any longer. And it's an internal thing. It's not external. It's not about what you say to somebody else. It's about how you hold your own self accountable. It's about how you take responsibility for yourself. It's like we do it all the time. It's like your body is giving you a signal that says, I don't feel good. And you ignore it and you go, oh, I'll take care of it later. I'll take care of it later. And you don't do it. Or you need to leave a job and you know that job is not serving you, but you won't leave the job until some crisis happens, right? Like the ways that you delay and deny and resist. This is what is being up for transformation right now. I cannot, and I'm telling y'all, it's so important. I have been silent. You guys haven't heard from me for months because I have been really doing the work to track the deep transformation, and it has required me to be so internal and with myself so that I can hear. And when I saw today's astrology, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go talk about it because I want you guys to have information. And you know, it's like you got to save yourself. This is that kind of save yourself energy. Save yourself energy. And it's an internal thing. It's not an external thing. Will you choose yourself? Will you feed yourself? Will you prioritize how you feel? Will you give to your own sustenance? It's literally your opportunity to declare like you love yourself and choose yourself above. And this is a very powerful act in your own consciousness, and we're just not accustomed to it, is what I'm trying to say. We are not accustomed to this level of self-identity and loyalty and care, because we have been conditioned out of it, and it is vital right now. And you know, it's the don't answer the phone for somebody. It's the subtle choose yourself. And the reason why is because the North Node is in Aries. It's not going to be there much longer. It's leaving here at the end of this year. And it won't be back again for 18 years. And Pluto leaving Capricorn, Pluto will never be in Capricorn again in our lifetimes. And so we are at the beginning of a revolution, and the revolution is internal. And the revolution is your ability to choose yourself. That's it. Your ability to be yourself. Your ability to love yourself. Your ability to not deny yourself. Your ability, your willingness, your desire for yourself. This has been the most challenging work of my life because as a woman, I come from generations of women who have never chosen themselves, who haven't had the luxury to choose themselves. And so I have had to really press against patterns and karma and old ways of being in order to come into an alignment or a desire to be curious about who I am, what I'm up to, how I feel, what I need, and to know that there's value in that, and to not feel guilty about it or ashamed of it. And I'm doing it because this is the way of the new world. We can no longer sacrifice ourselves for others. You know, we were taught a religion that said Jesus Christ sacrificed himself so others could be. And that is not the way we have interpreted it. This sacrificial is not real. The sacrifice is an internal awakening to releasing yourself. You're sacrificing an old, outdated way of being. You're not sacrificing your own well-being for others. See, when we understand how the world really works, we begin to see that there is no other, so that what you do for yourself becomes the best thing you can do for another. Just Be You 77 says, lately I've been feeling that I'm done with the people pleasing. It's strange because the pattern is very wide. Yes, the people pleasing has to die. It has to, because it is a way that we are draining our life forces by not choosing ourselves. We literally make ourselves sick by not choosing ourselves. He said, you said many years ago, your energy is the new currency. I have felt your voice saying that. Yeah, yes, it's absolutely true. And so it is important for us to really learn to prioritize ourselves in ways that you have not even imagined. You have to learn to prioritize yourself. And in doing so, you will make a connection to the universe, is all I can really say. It's like you send out a signal. Energetically, you send out a signal to the universe saying, I'm going to be in integrity with myself. and in doing so, a divine supply kicks in. A divine resource kicks in, because we come here, we don't understand that we come here with everything we need within us. But we have been so externally focused, we don't understand what that means. We've not had the time to really uncover what the within you means. And that when you become devoted to that, you click in with this universal, your code clicks in, and you become resourced with a divine fulfillment. Your needs just flow. And so, we're because here are the things, we're like, I got to do this because I need money. These are external things, but there is really nothing external. That's the trick of this Maya. This motherfucker is a not, when I have sat so still, I can see it now. And it is a profound illusion. And the great illusion is that there is something outside of you, that you are separate. Oneness is the only thing happening here, but it doesn't appear that way. We have conditioned ourselves into beliefs around separation. And so the majority of us just don't understand how connected we are and what we're doing to harm ourselves. And so, yeah, it's really something. So your ability to choose yourself. Am I making sense? Am I saying anything that's making sense? Does anybody have a question? Maybe that would help, because my intention when I came here was that I wanted to be supportive. Does anybody have any astrology questions, or, are anybody going through anything in their health? Because a lot of this stuff shows up in your health. A lot of this stuff shows up in our health. Hey, V, how you doing? It makes sense. Okay, great. So this is eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is purifying. So many of us really, like, one of the things that I've been doing the most lately is really just purifying myself, like cleaning out my body, detoxifying my emotions, clearing out deep ancestral wounds and patterns around needing affirmation from others, needing approval. I have discovered, just recently, I discovered that I had an eating disorder. I was like, what the fuck? And I couldn't really figure out what it was, but I kept having this internal tug of war that goes on inside of me, just like just always like, and you know, if you're funny, you know, that's kind of the nature of Virgo. So, but I decided to investigate it. I was like, well, just check it out and see what it really is. And started doing work. And when I was little, my mother took me to live with my grandmother. I've shared this story before. My grandmother was 55 or so at the time, maybe 52. And so back then in 1970, that was old. 50 something was old back then. I mean, it was like she was an old lady. And she was a pack rat. She'd had like 7 or 8 kids, one of her kids, and she was a Capricorn. And she was deeply religious and sad and very sad. And I took on her sadness. I took it on because I'm a Pisces rising. I just absorbed her sadness. And one of the ways I worked to try to control it was by like rejecting the environment, which turned into an eating disorder that looked like I was always worried about the size of my body. It didn't look like I was vomiting or any of that. It didn't look like that, but it would look like I was fasting. It looked like I was, you know, I'm a vegetarian now. Now I'm a this, now I'm a that. But it was always about controlling my environment, like having control. And it came from growing up in a place where I didn't feel like I had any control over my emotions. And so when I start to see this, I'm like, how do these patterns play out now in my life? How am I, you know, how is this running me? And as I move into experiences like menopause and, you know, all of that, I see that the ways that I'm behaving are deeply associated with like karmic lessons and patterns of not feeling whole, not feeling worthy, not feeling loved, feeling neglected, like all of that stuff. And all that stuff has, all of those energies create dampness in the body. They create depression and you know, all sorts of stuff, mental pattern. It's just, you never know what's really ruining your life or making you have pain in your life. You might go to the doctor thinking like, oh, I'm having headaches, but what's really going on is that you're carrying some ancestral pattern that hasn't been resolved yet. And as I have been unraveling these patterns, my body is changing. Like I lost 15 pounds. I was like, wow, I was carrying 15 pounds of embarrassment, of shame, of 15 pounds of stress, literally. Like this is what's really going on inside of us. And we are being told to externalize everything. We're being told that, you know, to go to the doctor, and the doctor is like, oh, well, they don't really know what's happening, but there's ascension, like we're ascending. So what's really happening, the doctors are just making money. They're like, oh, I'm gonna give you this for high blood pressure, but they're not telling you that you're really carrying stress. You're carrying your mother's disappointment. You're carrying, you know, the energy of a little girl who didn't feel safe or secure. You're carrying a little boy who wanted his father's approval. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that are really going on inside of your body that are then translating as cancer and, like I said, depression and high blood pressure and all that sort of stuff. It's really something. And so I encourage you all to take care of yourselves. I really do. And that's it. I wanted to come in and talk and say, look at the war going on inside of you. Look at the war happening inside of you. Where are you at war with yourself? Why? Because Mars is in opposition to Pluto. And if you can look at the war inside of yourself and get clear about what it really is, and don't give your power to these external things right now because it's so valuable. Don't give it away. You need it. And turn it in on yourself and like literally invest in your own energy and yourself, you will be rewarded for this because the world is changing and you need your energy and power and you're going to need it. I have been feeling degrees of energy such as influence, codependence, opposition, and awareness. It shows me also the collective energies as well as the individual. Yes, it has taught my ego a lot. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, y'all. I love y'all so much. I am around. If you guys want to do readings and or things like that, I'm here. I've been chilling, but I'm here. All right. Peace and blessings. Bye bye.